This will be forever one of my favorite art journal pages, and it was such a joy to make it, and it's so straightforward and has such a beautiful texture. If you want to know how I made it, please stay tuned. Hi everyone, thank you so much for stopping by. It's Asia Marquet here, a Lemon Creation. And yes, this is definitely one of my favorite pages. And I would like to share with you the process behind it. It is pretty straightforward. So I started to do this page in my small mini, I called it mini book. It's a very funny book I found somewhere in a kind of a library for old books or books which nobody wants anymore. And I decided to give it a second life. I know some of you don't like that, but for a lot of you, this is also the way to appreciate books. I like books very much. I love reading, but sometimes when I see books which are already old and tired and broken, I just take them and change them into art journaling. But to work well with the book like that, you have to take away few pages. I usually leave like 3 pages, take 2 pages away, and then go ahead and repeat the process because otherwise the book will be too big and it may crack. And then I'll put 2 or 3 pages together, usually using matte gel, which you've seen me doing just right now. And I either put gesso on top of the page, or as in this case I'm doing right now, absorbent ground, and I either use the brush for it, or just a craft knife, or just old kind of a credit card. Whichever way of application suits you the best, you can just do it. And for those of you who don't know absorbent ground, it's something very similar to gesso, but it doesn't dull the colors as much as gesso does, because gesso has a tendency to dull the colors, and it's actually a little bit more transparent than the gesso, but otherwise it keeps the pages or it keeps the paints from seeping through the pages. Before this ground was dry, I added to it a little bit of Shabby cheek, if I'm not mistaken, embossing enamel. No, it's just Shabby white embossing enamel from Stampendous. And like that, when the paste is still wet, the embossing powder, or enamel in this case, can just get stuck or adhere to the page, and I don't need to use the embossing ink. I dabbed it a little bit with my fingers just to be sure, because this one is kind of chunky, so I was not sure if it's gonna adhere very well, but it did. And this one also has a nice kind of golden pieces in it, so it looks so magical, and it gives a little bit of shine. There is like a small of the small mica powder in it. I have no idea what it is exactly, but it gives a little bit of shine, like a glittery shine, apart from these golden accents. It's really, really nice, and it gives us a beautiful texture, and it's quite easy to do. And if you cannot find this one, this particular one anymore, Lindy's Stamp Gang or Lindy's Gang has also chunky embossing powders, so you can use them. And I decided to not to use too much on this page, because I find that already the embossing powder looks so well. I just add a little bit of stenciling. I'm using one of my newest stencil called Vintage Paper Trail, and as always I'm gonna give you a link to my shop where you can have a look at the stamp stencils, a little bit more of mixed media products, in the description box below under this video or in the pinned comment. And as you've seen, I removed the parts of the stencil which were actually overlapping with the powder, and they didn't print well, but otherwise the print happened. I forgot the word. I don't know. Happen is not a good word, but the print worked quite nicely. And I am adding a little bit of Lindy's Gang Magical. This one is Flat Magical. I actually prefer flat Magical than the shiny ones which are not flat, simply. I don't like too much the shine, but in this case the page is already a little bit shiny, so I kind of say that I don't like the shine, but there is the shine to the page. But I thought that this color will just complement the shine so nicely, and I absolutely love this color. Look at that, how beautiful it is. Few different colors actually in one. And I'm just removing the excess from the crease in the book with the tissue, and I'm gonna dry it all, adding a little bit more of this powder at the edge of the embossing powder, because like that I think it would just give me this beautiful edge or border between those two parts of my journal. One is the part when there is embossing, and the other is the part when there is gonna be a color and there is already a stenciling. You know, it's very funny because actually the ideas don't come to me beforehand. I was thinking, you know, I just do some stenciling, some simple stenciling. Then I decided to add a little bit of embossing powder on the paste, on the ground, absorbent ground. And then I said to myself, okay, there is kind of a border, so why not to add a little bit of stenciling and then this color, this beautiful color. So I'm really, really happy because the border is so well visible and it looks so nice. But really, I don't know, it's just this page speaks to me. And I've noticed that sometimes we overthink, we add too many things to the page, a lot of focal points. And I'm not saying there are beautiful pages with a lot of focal points or with a lot of texture and a lot of things happening, but very often it's just, to me anyway, the simplest things are the best ones, the more effective, and they don't always work also, I have to say honestly, but you know, I was thinking, am I adding a focal point? But I'm a little bit I think I use too much lately focal points, and so I'm thinking that I actually like kind of abstract almost, and if I add just a small sentence to the page, that's enough. And I'm talking, but I'm not explaining right now what happened. I used Stabilo All. This is a watercolor pencil, which I love very much. And so as every watercolor pencil, it will react with water. And that's what I'm doing right now. Firstly, I made the kind of like doodling to make a border. And now I'm adding a little bit of water, which will give me this kind of a shadow on the border. And you can use it, you know, on the dry paper, but you can also use it as I'm using in some places right here, when the paper is already a little bit wet. So like that, you know, you get different effects. You have more control maybe. And one thing you need to remember, I don't know if you've seen that, if you see that, or yes, you see that. If you noticed what I am doing, I'm actually going away from the paint itself, because the paint is water-based, so it will react with water. So if I add water, the paint will change the color, which is happening in some of the places, but that's why I prefer to actually go on the other side of the paint and just add this this shadowing on the other side, which anyway I think it's a good idea. Why not? You could have probably do it the other way also, but like that I'm sure I'm not gonna destroy the paint and take away the paint also by dabbing it with tissue later on. So the paint goes one way and the stencil goes the other, not stencil, sorry, and the pencil goes the other way. And I decided to add a tiny bit of weird doodling with my Pilot pen, which is also kind of water based or not water resistant. And I do apologize for my fingers. I think it's noticeable I actually worked in between the pages with the alcohol inks, so I just I don't want to talk about it. I got a little bit dirty and I could not remove the things. I use a piece of writing I took from one of the very, very old books, which was falling at the seams. So I took that and just didn't want to add anything more. I add a tiny bit of like a kind of a fabric, and that's it. This is it for the page, guys. You can even see in the crease the page which were removed from this book. They didn't come out easily, but yes, I covered them a little bit. That adds a little bit more of the texture and it looks so, so beautiful. Guys, thank you so much for subscribing, for commenting as always, for sharing this video and for visiting my shop. As always, I'm sending you big, big hugs. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you so much for being here and I hope I'm gonna see you in my next video. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.